So welcome ladies and gent. I think there's two gents. One or two. Is everyone enjoying Wanderlust?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you feeling it in your muscles, all the yoga classes?
Yeah.
Lovely. So I'm Tamra Mercieca. I'm a relationship and self-love therapist in that I help people develop relationship with self. I'm also the author of 2 books, and I run a school called Getting Naked, where I teach people how to strip off the layers of conditioning, stopping them having more love, more happiness, and much more pleasure in their life. And that will be the essence of the love story that I'm going to share with you today. But before I get naked mentally, I just want to get you to connect in with why you're here. What is it that you've come into this room to hear, to see, to unravel? So I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes. Just allow yourself to connect in with where you're at right now. Just bring your attention to your breath. Just feel into your body. And simply ask yourself, what did I drag myself out of bed on a Saturday morning to hear? What is the insight that I need today? What in my life do I need to shift? What is it that I want to grow? What is it that I want to expand? And what is it that I feel that I need to heal in my life right now? But the most important question, what is it that I am ready to experience from this point on? And so I just want you to take a minute just to allow that answer to come to you, just to allow yourself to gain some clarity on what it is that you need. What area of your life you need more self-love in. So just take a moment to connect in with that answer. Maybe there'll be a few things that you feel you need to heal. Just allow those to come into your awareness. When you feel like you've got your answer, you've got your clarity, feel free to come back into the room and open your eyes. When we create that space to really feel into what it is that we need in our life, when we allow ourselves to find that clarity and have that awareness, that is the first step to allowing ourselves to have a healing, to be able to deepen our self-love. And I'm assuming that's probably why you're all here, yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm going to begin by sharing my love story, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how you can deepen your self-love. Does that feel good? So I was 12 years old when I had a knife thrown at my head by someone who I believed loved me. Now I wasn't physically wounded because I ducked and it missed, but I was emotionally wounded. And at the time, I wasn't aware of that emotional wounding. All I was aware of was the acne that started to spread across my face like a wildflower following that incident. All these clumps, these pussy clumps started to pop up all over my face. And it seemed that no matter what I tried, they had no intention of vacating the premises. My mum would buy me all these different mainstream products and treatments to try and get rid of the acne. But all they created was more irritation, more ugliness. And this ugliness started to be echoed in taunts that I'd started receiving in the schoolyard. Now, as a teenager, I was quite a curious young lady, and I liked to research, and I liked to experiment. So after seeing that these mainstream products weren't working, I thought, right, I'm going to look at some alternative therapies. What can I come up with? And I found that marigold petals was meant to be really healing on the skin and really great for acne. And so I'd go into my garden every day, and I'd pick these orange flowers, and I'd make this mask, and I'd wear it around the house for 20, 30 minutes every day. And what I found was, yeah, it did start to take away the irritation in the skin, but it didn't actually stop the acne from coming up in the first place. So I continued to experiment. One of my experiments included peroxide. If you know peroxide, it's essentially oxygen, and oxygen kills viruses and bacteria. So I thought if I put that on my face morning and night, then I can kill this bacteria. About a week later, I noticed that my complexion was a little bit paler. Peroxide is also a bleach. And my eyebrows were starting to go blonde. Which only made the taunts at school even worse. And by this point, the bullying had got pretty bad, to the point that I would now spend my lunchtimes with my maths teacher knitting, just to escape the taunts. And it was around this time that all of the ladies started growing, all of the girls, started growing these really voluptuous breasts. And I was like, wow, I'm still really flat-chested. And I started getting the nickname of surfboard. Now, so desperate for validation, so desperate for acceptance, and a nice set of buvettes, I did a little bit more research and I found that bananas were meant to be really effective in helping to stimulate the growth hormone in the breasts. And so what you had to do was mash up a really overripe banana and wear it in your bra for a couple of hours every day. And yes, that's exactly what I did. About 6 months later, my breasts did start to grow. Whether it was a coincidence or the actual effect of the bananas, I will have no idea. But the point is that those insecurities about my body, they didn't go away. They only continued to get worse and worse and worse. And it wasn't until I finished high school and I moved interstate to pursue my radio career that the depression hit. And so I tried all different sorts of medications. I went to therapists, I went to counsellors, psychologists, but nothing seemed to ease the pain of living. And so I turned to food, and food became my best friend. And so I would binge eat quite regularly. But as I'm sure you're aware, when you binge eat, that starts to create body weight, which just gave me something else to hate myself about. And so I stumbled across laxative teas, and I thought, oh great, I can just take my laxative tea after a big binge and I'll flush it all out of me. So laxative teas became my next best friend. And my binge eating became more and more, and my body got so messed up because I was shoving it with food and then getting stuff out of it that essentially my body stopped operating properly and it started going into starvation mode and started storing fat. And it was at this point that I realised I was actually bulimic. Because yes, I wasn't getting rid of it out of my mouth, but I was still getting it out of my body. I was purging my food. So adult acne, still prevalent. Binge eating, bulimia, depression. I wasn't feeling too crash hot about myself. I was hating myself. And so it's no surprise that suicide attempts became part of my weekly regime. To the point that I was sat down one day and told, you know what? We need to put you in a mental home because you've become a risk to yourself. A mental home. That was my wake-up call. That is what shook me awake. And I made a decision that day. And that decision was, no matter what happens, no matter how many obstacles I have to overcome, I'm going to find a cure. I'm going to cure myself of this self-hate so then that I can actually start loving myself. So I'm just going to press pause on my love story. And I want to share with you a little bit about how we end up hating ourselves so much, how we end up with all this negative mind chatter. Because I'm pretty sure that if you're here today, you've got some beat up going on, maybe you've got some demons hanging around. And it doesn't matter what size those demons are or what those demons look like, they're still demons. So let me explain how those demons come about. So from the moment we are conceived up until age 7, we are programmed, much like a computer, on how to think, how to act, and how to behave. And so we take on these beliefs about ourselves, modelled on the big people around us. So the people that we spend a lot of time with growing up, like our parents, our teachers, our carers. And so every time you are humiliated, you are laughed at, you are told something that diminishes who you think you are, you take that on, you absorb it like a sponge. And it's this programming, these beliefs, that are responsible for how you see yourself in the world, how you feel about yourself. And it's this programming that creates that negative mind shadow, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. And maybe that plays in your head like a broken record. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not lovable. That was the belief that was triggered in me when I had that knife thrown at my head. I'm not lovable. And so the more power we give to these thoughts, the more we think that way, the more our physical life starts to reflect those thoughts. Like Buddha once said, we are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. So if as a child you were told, you're a naughty girl, or you don't deserve my attention, then you're going to take that on and it's going to become your truth. Now, if you start believing that I'm not deserving, when something starts to come into your life that seems like it would be suited to a deserving person, your subconscious mind concludes this can't possibly be for you, and so you sabotage it. That dream job, hot guy, that sexy body, more money. If you don't believe that you deserve those things, you can't accept them into your life because they don't match who you think you are. Now you might be saying, hold on, I am deserving, and I do deserve those things. But if you have an unconscious belief that says otherwise, then no amount of wanting or striving is going to allow that thing to come into your life. And if you do manage to get it in, then it'll be taken from you. You won't be able to hold on to it. Maybe you date the guy and he ticks all those boxes and you're going, yeah, he's so the one. And then he dumps you. Or you get that huge bonus at work and you're like, oh, finally, thank goodness, I can get my finances sorted, I can start to get ahead. And then your car breaks down that same day and you end up spending all of your bonus and then some on fixing the car. The reason this happens is because there is a conflict between what we consciously want and what we are subconsciously programmed for. You see, our subconscious mind, that is our biggest processing storehouse. And our subconscious mind, as you may know, it's what keeps our heart beating, it's what keeps us breathing, it's what digests food, it's also what stores our skills, our memories, and our limiting beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving. It's our subconscious mind that guides our thoughts. In fact, our subconscious mind is so powerful that it's responsible for 90% of our thoughts, actions, and behaviours. 90%. So in order to create change in your life, in whatever area that you feel that you're struggling in, you have to change the subconscious programming. And it was changing the subconscious programming that allowed me to overcome the depression and go on to create a 10-session program where I could get someone depression and feel free. It was changing the subconscious programming that allowed me to heal precancerous cells in my cervix so that I didn't need to have surgery. It was changing the subconscious programming that saw me heal the adult acne to help me overcome the binge eating so I could have a healthy relationship with my body. It was changing the subconscious programming that saw me move from the safety of full-time employment to working for myself in a job that not only nourished my bank account but nourished my soul. And it was changing the subconscious programming that allowed me to attracting the love of my life. Almost everything that we experience in our life is based on our subconscious programming. So as long as you continue to run those same thought patterns that you took on as a child, then you're going to create the same stories, the same patterns in your life. And maybe you date a heap of different guys. They all look different, but they're the same guy. Or maybe you struggle from week to week, and this is your pattern. And you keep getting money in, but you keep losing it. And maybe you keep losing that money for all sorts of different reasons, but the fact of the matter remains, you remain broke. Struggling from week to week, life being a struggle. Imagine for a moment that life wasn't a struggle. There was no struggle. No fear, no anxiety, no overwhelm, no lack, no scarcity. Imagine if that was your life. And imagine if all you experienced was love, abundance, acceptance, freedom. Imagine if every time there was a challenge in your life, you knew within you what you needed to do in order to get the result that you desired. How differently would life be for you if life was like that? Yeah? Are you following me? Yeah? Okay, cool. So we can all have that life, right? You get that, yeah? Alright, there are a few misbelievers. We can all have that life. And one of the key components of having that life is changing the programming. We've got that, don't we? You get that? Okay, cool. So, unfortunately, an hour is not long enough for me to teach you how to undo that programming. I have put together some workshops and things that do go into a lot more detail with that. So if you do want copies of that, I'm happy to send those to you for free. So we'll hand around some clipboards. Feel free to put your name and email down, and I'll send you a heap of resources, because this is the stuff that is going to allow you to completely change your life. Now, in changing the programming, that does involve not listening to our head anymore. Not listening to those gunky thoughts that keep playing around, yeah? And so if we're not listening to our head, then we want to be listening to our heart. Because it is our head that is running that childhood conditioning, that programming that we took on. Yet our heart, that's actually our internal GPS. And when we tap into that intelligence, then we can be guided through life in the smoothest way to create whatever it is that we desire. And that's where the mix-up has happened. People started listening to up here instead of listening to here. Scientists have found that the heart, which is the first organ to form in the womb, actually has a brain of its own. And the brain in the heart is 100 times electrically stronger than the brain in our head, and 5,000 times stronger magnetically. The brain in our heart is so powerful that it actually knows things are going to happen before they actually happen. So there was this really, really groovy study done by the Heart Math Institute in America. And so what they did is, with their participants, they hooked them up to a monitor that would sensor their brain waves and their heartbeat. And so these participants were shown random images, and there were two different categories of images. So one category was of high arousal images, so things that would ignite an emotion in a person. So like the face of a car crash victim, or a snake about to pounce with fangs at the ring, something that would really bring up some emotion. And then there was the other category of images, and they were more calming images, like cute little bunny rabbits and butterflies and nature scenes. And what they found was, this is what the data showed, that the heart seemed to know the nature of the image before it was shown to the participants, before they saw it with their own eyes. And so if it was going to be a high arousal image, the heart rate would start to drop about 5 seconds before that image was even selected. 15 seconds before the participants saw that image. It's pretty amazing. And these studies have been replicated all over the world, showing that the heart does indeed know things before we could logically ever know that they're going to happen. So imagine how differently you would live your life and how different you would experience your life if you were working under the guidance of your heart as opposed to the gunky thoughts of your head. Yeah? Can you imagine what that would be like? And to really explain this in a little bit more depth, just imagine you're in the middle of a maze, okay? And all the hedges are around you, and you can't see out, and you need to get out, right? That's the objective. But you can't see, so there's a lot of guesswork going on, yeah? You've got to work out, oh, maybe I'll go this way, maybe I'll go this way. That's what it's like to operate from the head. Now, if you climb to the top of the tower that's in the middle of that maze, you get a bird's eye view, and you can see your way out. That is what it's like to operate from the heart. So we want to operate from the heart, yeah? Yeah? Okay, cool. Too early in the morning? Okay, so I'm going to give you a taste of what it's like to listen to your heart. If you do have a pen and paper, that will be great. It's really effective for this exercise. If you don't, that's okay. Just do it without a pen and paper, but pen and paper is really good. One thing I do want to highlight is that it's not that the mind is evil or bad. We simply want the mind to come under the influence of the heart so that we're not having those gut thoughts.
Is it for writing or drawing?
Writing. Yeah. We're going to get some messages from our heart. Is everyone up for that? Messages from heart? Yeah. Yay. So just bring yourself into your own awareness, closing your eyes, just keeping a pen and paper at the ready, somewhere where you can easily access them, maybe just on your lap. So with your eyes closed, again, just start to connect in with your breath. Just allow yourself to gradually deepen that breath, just allowing yourself to breathe all the way down to your stomach, letting the breath expand your stomach to the front, to the back, to the sides. And just allow yourself to really settle into your own rhythm with your breath. And when you're ready, I just want you to bring your awareness to your feet. So just bringing your awareness to your feet now. And I just want you to imagine that there are roots growing out of your feet, like you would see at the bottom of a tree. And those roots are growing down into the core of the earth. So the roots growing from the soles of your feet all the way down to the core of the earth. And as they reach the core of the earth, you notice that there's an expansive pool of unconditional love. And so the roots that are growing down from the soles of your feet now start drinking up that unconditional love right from the core of the earth. And so just allow those roots to sip up the unconditional love as it comes up into the soles of your feet, just allowing that to happen however you feel it needs to happen. And maybe you will feel a sensation in your feet. Maybe you will just have a knowing that it's there. Whatever you feel or whatever you don't feel is perfect. Don't judge it, just allow. And so now with the unconditional love filling your feet, just imagine that that unconditional love is starting to fill up your legs. So the unconditional love is starting to come up the calves of your legs, into your knees, into your thighs. Unconditional love filling your legs right now. And the unconditional love continues to stream up your body, filling your pelvic region. The unconditional love filling your pelvic region, moving up into your stomach, up into your chest. The unconditional love streaming through your body, now coming up to your shoulders. And that unconditional love now at your shoulders starts to spill over into your arms. So running down into your arms, filling all of your arms, your elbows, right down to your thumbs and your fingers, filling your fingers with unconditional love. And that love continues to stay in your shoulders and now goes up through your neck, into your head, filling your whole entire head, your face, even your hair, filling it all with unconditional love. And just take a moment to absorb what it feels like to be full of that unconditional love. And again, you may not feel much, you may not feel anything, you may feel a presence. Whatever you feel is perfect, so just be with that. to imagine that a blanket of unconditional love is starting to wrap around you, right from your feet all the way to the top of your head. You're being wrapped in this blanket of unconditional love. And maybe that might seem for you like a mummy being wrapped in bandages of love. Or maybe it may seem like a caterpillar being spun with love, forming a cocoon. However that needs to be for you, just allow that to be you being wrapped in this blanket of unconditional love, and just allow that process to take as long as it needs to take in this moment. And now bringing your attention to up above your head. Now we're going to imagine that there is this golden white light, and this golden white light is pure self-belief. And this self-belief is pouring down on you. So just allow yourself to be coated in this beautiful pouring down of self-belief. Just allowing that self-belief to absorb right to your core. Just allowing that self-belief to fill you so that you're now filled with unconditional love and self-belief. And now I simply want you to bring your attention to your heart, just your physical heart. And you may wish to put your hand on your heart, or you may wish to just visualize it, whatever is perfect for you. And so just bring your attention to your physical heart. And from here, this is what we're going to work with today. We're going to work with our heart. We're going to listen to our heart, because our heart has some amazing messages that it wants to deliver to you. But it can only deliver those messages to you in the stillness, when you take time to connect in with your heart. And so just invite your heart to speak to you. Just invite your heart to share its presence with you. And as you feel messages and words starting to come through, just start to pour them out onto the page in front of you. So if you have a pen and paper, just start writing. Just start writing now. Don't wait. Just allow whatever to come out. And just start writing. Don't censor it. Don't judge it. Don't think about it. Just start writing. And just see what needs to come out. Obviously, you cannot open your eyes to write. But just stay in that presence, that connection with your heart. And maybe you're just getting a word. Maybe you're getting a sentence. Whatever you're getting, just allow it to fall out onto the page, however it needs to fall out. Don't get distracted by phones, because that will pull you out of your heart space. And if you do find that you're falling out of that heart space, just imagine the love filling you back up from the soles of your feet right to the peak of your head, just that love filling you right up. Any doubt, any insecurities, any am I doing this right? If any of that comes in, fill yourself back up with love, because you've disconnected from your heart. That does happen to you very often. That is normal. This is about learning how to start listening to the heart. That does take practice. So we're going to pose a specific question to our heart now. We're going to ask, what is it that I need to know most right now? What is it that I need to know most right now? And just write out whatever comes out. First thing that comes out for you, just allow that to spill out onto the page. It may be simple. It be a word. If it's just a word, ask more questions about it. What is it about that thing that I need to know? Start to delve a little bit deeper with your heart and ask it the questions that you need to know. What is it that I need to know right now? The more you acknowledge that you're getting something, the more your heart will speak to you. Even if it's only tiny, even if it's just feelings, just acknowledge that it's there. So if you're looking for a new question, maybe you want to ask, what do I need to know so then that I can love myself more? So just asking your heart, what is it that I need to know so I can love myself more? And just allow those words to just flow out onto the page. Again, if you feel any doubt coming in or you're questioning what you're getting, simply fill yourself back up with love. If there's a particular struggle in your life, maybe you want to ask your heart, what is it that I need to know about this so that I can heal this? So just asking your heart, what do I need to know about this struggle so that I can heal it and be free from it? And again, just allow those words to fall out onto the page. The first ones that come to you, they're the right ones from your heart. If you find the negative mind chatter coming back in, simply fill yourself back up with love. Because that negative mind chatter, it'll give you a bit of a run for your money. So just don't judge it, just let it go. And return back to filling yourself up with love so you can get the messages from your heart. And when you feel ready, we're just going to ask one last question. What is it that I need to do or know so then I can connect in with you every day? What is the best way for me to connect in with you every day? Just allow your heart to tell you that. it's something really simple, like go for a walk in nature, don't knock the simplicity of it. Because those simple things are the most effective. And whenever you feel like you've got the answers that you need for today, feel free to simply come back into the room and open your eyes. Just reflecting on whatever it is that you got while we wait for the others to get their last messages. Whatever came up for you during that exercise is perfect. Whatever didn't come up for you is also perfect. When we judge ourselves, that is our heady, gunky stuff going on. And so it's exercises like this that you want to be kind to yourself and you want to encourage yourself and not get frustrated at yourself. Because that frustration, that is what pulls you out of the heart space. Because we're either operating from a place of love or a place of fear. When we're in love, we're connected to our heart. When we're in fear, we're connected to our head. And we all know we don't want to be stuck in our head. Yeah? So this is going to take practice. And perhaps some of you have already started to develop that connection with your heart. But I'm really going to encourage you to go deeper into that connection, because we can always deepen that connection and deepen our self-love. Because most people these days, we're busy, go, got to do a million things. There's no space for the heart to actually communicate to us. The heart can't get the messages across. It's trying, but there's no space for it to be heard. And so in order for us to create that space, we need to stop. We need to be still. We need to be in our body and present. And that's when the messages will start coming through. All the messages that we need so that we can start to heal our life. So I did promise you that I'd end my love story. I'd give you the happily ever after. So once I made that commitment to go down that journey of self-love, to find a cure, then all of the guidance that I needed, it started to show up because I committed. And so the books that I needed to read just happened to be there. You know, the people that I needed to work with, they came into my line of vision. You know, the songs that I had key messages in them came up on the radio so I could hear that message. And so all of these things started to fall in line, and I learnt about the subconscious mind. And I was able to easily cure myself of depression, of binge eating, of acne, all that stuff. And I was so passionate about what I was finding because my life was going from really shit to really awesome really quickly, that that's when I started sharing it with other people. And it was at that point that I went, okay, so I've got most of my life, it's pretty rockin', but relationships for me really still suck. And relationships and me sort of go together like ice cream and beer. They really don't match. And so I kissed a lot of toads in my 20s, and none of them turned into my friends. And so I thought, okay, what if I apply all of these methods that I've been learning to help me overcome all of these other issues to my love life? And so I started to listen to my heart. And I got this really strong message that I had to stop dating guys. And I had to start dating myself. Now at the time I was like, what the, hello? But how's that gonna get me a relationship? And I got that I had to date myself for 6 full months. No guys, no distractions. And so I thought, okay, my heart hasn't let me down up until this point. I'll give it a go. You got 6 months. And so I started to wine and dine myself and nurture myself and care for myself as I would a lover. And if I'd planned a date with myself and someone called me up and said, hey, you want to do this? I'd be like, oh, sorry, I've got a date. And they're like, who with? I'm like, me. And they're like, hey. And so I commit to myself. I would never cheat on myself. I was in a relationship with myself. And it was during this time that I was clearing that subconscious programming, all the relationship barriers that I had. And it got to around the 6-month mark, which by this time I'd sort of lost track of time because I was having a love affair with myself. It was awesome. And I got to this point and I thought, you know, I don't actually know if I want a guy in my life anymore because I'm really enjoying dating me. And it was at that point that my prince rode on in his Toyota Starlet and swept me off my Converse wearing feet. And he ticked a whole lot more boxes than I could ever imagine. And last month we got married. However, that is not the happily ever after. The happily ever after happened before the prince. You got that, right? When I fell in love with me, that was the happily ever after. That was the happily right now. Because when we live happily right now, that is our love story. And it's all about nurturing your relationship with you. And when you nurture your relationship with you, whatever it is that you want, you're naturally going to attract that into your life because you're already in the energy of that. And your heart, tuning into your heart, that is the biggest thing that's going to help you to get that happening. So, I think we do have time for questions. Yes. I'm happy to take all your questions. You want more love story, don't you? Yeah.
What sort of things did you do when you were dating yourself?
Yep. I bought myself flowers, I gave myself massages, I went on day trips and things that I'd always imagined that I'd do with a partner, and I did that for myself. And to begin with, it was confronting, because here you are sitting in a cool cafe by yourself, and there's all these couples around you, and it's like, oh, do people think that like I'm a bit of a loser, you know, here I am on my own? And that's when you start to become very present of the negative mind chatter. Oh, you know, I'm an idiot, or I'm alone, and that gives you more recognition of what the beliefs are that you need to clear. So that in itself is the healing process, going on those dates and seeing what gunk comes up. But I gotta tell you, once you start dating the guy or girl, they're gonna reflect even more gunk at you. That's a whole new journey. Yeah.
So how do you date yourself when you're married?
Yep, take yourself on dates.
Okay.
I still date myself.
Okay.
And I'm lucky because I attracted in a musician. So pretty much Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I got the house to myself. Yeah. Because they're his main gig nights. So yeah, have a date night with yourself once a week. Do something special for you and commit to that.
Who are the big authors that you've gained inspiration from? Like you said, holistic resources came in.
Yeah, sure.
Where were those?
Oh God, where do I start? Like my library is, like I've got a whole library pretty much. I'm like a bookworm. Okay, so we've got Wayne Dyer, Gabrielle Bernstein, Marie Forleo, Eckhart Tolle, Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra. Belinda Davidson's a really good person to check out. Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. If you're having relationship issues, Gay and Kathleen Hendricks are an amazing couple. They wrote The Conscious Heart, and they talk about how to have a really conscious relationship, which is amazing. So I studied relationships, essentially. Yeah. Read all of those sorts of books. I could list so many.
Yeah.
But does that give you a starter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Beautiful. Questions? Yes.
So when you felt alone and you felt of like giving up and God, this is bullshit, what I'm doing, what sort of motivates you to keep on going?
Mental home or work it out? Take your pick. Mental home wasn't so attractive to me. And that was sort of my wake-up call as, has it really got that bad? Yeah, I'm trying to kill myself and stuff, but is it really, like, you're sort of living this, really? Is it? Yeah. So it was literally bad choice or fix it. and work out how to fix it. And at that time, I didn't know how to fix it. And so I had to go through a heap of different modalities and learnings to be able to get to the point that I had a solid formula for overcoming depression. And that's essentially what I share with people, because life's meant to be lived, it's not meant to be in therapy. And I'm like, okay, let's clear it out, go have fun. Get connected to your heart. That's all you need. Yeah. Does that help? Yeah. Okay.
Do you think it's harder, to get to that place when you haven't got that extreme, like something to push you in to that?
Absolutely.
Because, life can be quite good and you feel like you're not connecting with yourself or whatever. And
a lot of people are living a very mediocre life.
yeah.
It's okay. It's cool. I get by. Yeah, nothing too bad. Few little hiccups. And generally it will take some horrible catastrophic thing before you go, oh shit, I've got to start doing something about this. And so if any of you are in that situation, don't allow it to get to that point when you have that catastrophic thing. I had quite a few wake-up calls to keep me on track. Like, they thought I had MS when I was 27. And so that was another like, whoa, okay, get back onto the good diet, get back onto clearing more stuff. And then, whoa, now I've got precancerous cells in my cervix. Awesome, okay, keeping me on track. And so my wake-up calls have been quite severe, but I know a lot of people who don't get those big wake-up calls. And so it's really a choice of, okay, am I going to settle for mediocre? Or am I going to actually start living awesome? And am I really going to grab this and take it? And that's just got to be a decision that you make. Yeah, does that help?
Yeah.
And
does it make
then,
it easier?
when you start listening to your heart, life gets easier.
Yeah.
And when I was told to date myself, I'm like, oh, what is this shit? Like, really? Like, come on, I'm meant to be getting a guy, I'm 30 years old and I'm still single. We're getting desperate now. But it's really trusting, because your heart knows better than your head. Your head's going to lead you down all the wrong turns. And maybe they're not so bad wrong turns, but they're not too happily right now.
If your heart tells you snow and pineapple, what do you do with that?
Ask more about it. What's the snow? Do I need to go to the snow? Do I need to eat more pineapple? Do I need to go visit the big pineapple? Ask more questions. And just acknowledge whatever it is that you've got. Because when you start tuning into yourself, you're going to get some absurd, weird stuff and go, what is this? Hello, just give me the answer. But your heart's like, well, you haven't been listening to me your whole life. You've got to take baby steps with me. And so you've got to practice and be patient.
What are some techniques about feeling like you deserve it? Because I can date myself, but if somebody comes into my life, which they have, and I just don't feel like I deserve them, or I don't deserve these good things.
Yep. So essentially that's a belief, I'm not deserving. And you need to change the mental programming. That's the quickest way to do it, and I'll send you some resources for that. The thing that you've got is, if you try doing it consciously, like affirmations and bits and pieces like that, it's sort of like you're hitting up against a brick wall, because that's 10% that you're using. Whereas you could go the 90% and just get rid of it straight away. And so, I'm all for affirmations, I'm not going to bag them, but there's a much quicker way to make it happen. And so my suggestion would be, just look at the resources that I send out, because that'll give you the guidance on how to get the programming sorted. But in the meantime, date yourself and notice what happens. And if you find that you're planning dates for yourself and then you're like standing yourself up, that's your pattern and you've got to break it. Which again, consciously to break it is a lot harder than just going and changing the programming. And that's where, I was finding when I was, going to a lot of counsellors and therapists, it's like, just do this. And it's just like, but you've got this robotic load on and you keep on reverting back to your old patterns, and until you change those patterns, you're going to keep repeating. And creating those pockets of time to listen to your heart. So when you feel like you're not deserving and you're stuffing up and you're self-sabotaging and you're beating up, take yourself out for a nature walk and just allow yourself to connect in. Just allow yourself to fill yourself up with love and go, what's the truth? What's really here? Because you're love. That's what you are at your core. And it's our mental chatter that takes us away from that and keeps on thinking we're not deserving, we're not good enough. Does that help? Awesome.
I'm trying to get back in touch with myself a lot more and do things for me.
Yeah.
As a mum, I guess, yeah, as a mum, I get a lot of guilt if I'm not cleaning the house or with my baby or going to work or looking after my husband or what have you. So I guess how do you deal with guilt?
Again, guilt is subconscious stuff that needs to be cleared. Very, very prominent with mothers because you feel like you have to put everyone else first. But what you've got to remember is when you go up in an aeroplane and you lose oxygen and those oxygen masks come down, you're told to put it on yourself before you put it on your child. Because if you black out, what good are you to your child? Yeah? It's the same in life. So in order to really care for your child and be there 100%, you need to be there for you. Otherwise, you're giving them from an empty cup. And maybe you'll be on the roads one day and you'll be tired and you won't have self-nurtured and you'll have a car crash. I don't want to put that out there. Okay? But that's what happens when we don't self-nurture, then we get run ragged. And that's what you're passing on to your children because your children model you. And so if they learn how to not self-nurture and how to not put themselves first, then they're going to repeat your patterns. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I've probably got time for one more, I think. Yes.
You know when you said you went on like dates in a cafe by yourself and you had those thoughts of, oh, I'm a loser.
Yeah.
What do you do in that actual moment when you're having those thoughts and believing it all over again?
You notice them and you don't judge them. And you make that conscious effort to just notice them and realize, hold on, that's not actually who I am. It's some beliefs and programming that I've taken on from a child. And so I'd actually always have a pen and paper there and I'd write them down so that when I was back home I could clear them.
When you have time to like be quiet and listen.
Yeah, because back then, I mean now I can clear beliefs in public.
Yeah, you're not going to sit there and say that.
But back then I was still quite new to it. And so yeah, I sit on my red couch at home and I sit there with my pen and paper and I clear beliefs. And I do that every morning. So that I have a ritual every morning. I'll spend at least half an hour tuning into my heart, getting the guidance that I need, clearing beliefs. And so if I'm out and about and I don't have a chance to clear a belief in that moment, well then yeah, I'll write it down and I'll tune in, I'll clear it the next morning.
Do you know any like specific meditations you can find to help you guide you through that?
So very similar technique to what I took you through, connecting in with your heart space and then asking to be taken back to the root cause of that belief, which will be most likely in your childhood. If you believe in past lives, you could be taken back to a past life. Again, it's open to your beliefs. And then from there you gather learnings. And then when you gather enough learnings, then all of a sudden that incident becomes a gift and there's no negative charge on it. That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone. It's been absolutely amazing. I do one-on-one sessions and courses on all that I've shared with you because I am so passionate about this. Please feel free to check out the website gettingnaked.com.au. Make sure you do put the AU or you'll end up on an X-rated website, which could be fun. And if your name and email's on the list, I will send you out some resources to help get your journey to self-love started. But I always like to end on a quote, and this quote is from Oscar Wilde. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. So thank you, and enjoy my